Howdy YouTube, this is Steven and I'm back with another news article analysis. And I found this article while browsing around on the internet as usual, and I think this article is really interesting and I would like to share it with you all. So here we are. Alright, the title of this article is Crystal K returns with a confident ballad to soundtrack Wild Heroes. And I also feel that this article is kind of mistitled. You'll see why as I read. So I'll add an additional title, which is Crystal K sounds off on bigotry in Japan. So with that all being said, well, one more thing, or a couple more things actually. This was published on japantimes.co.jp, so thanks to them. And the author is named Matthew Hernon. So thanks to him. Thank him. All right, here we go. Shortly after Ariana Miyamoto was crowned Miss Universe Japan, the country's first ever mixed race beauty queen, Crystal K took to social media to voice her approval. "Quote unquote, you go girl, I'm proud of Japan." Okay, so this was news to me, and probably news to you, but Japan has recently crowned its um, Miss Universe Japan, and she is the first ever Miss Universe Japan who is of mixed race origin. She is, I believe, I think African American origin and Japanese origin. Mama Japanese, daddy African American / black. So Crystal K got to give her props, or Crystal K, she got to hold it down and support another Afro Asian woman in the mix, in the struggle. So that's what you're supposed to do, Crystal K. Look out for your peoples. All right. Let's see. Next, speaking to the Japan Times, I'll say Crystal. Crystal once again points to her pride in the Japanese people who chose Miyamoto as their queen. All right. "Quote unquote, slowly but surely we're getting there," she says. "Quote unquote, people are now generally more accepting of artists and celebrities from various backgrounds, and one of the main reasons for that is the growing number of multiracial musicians and celebrities on TV." All right, so Crystal K, she is kind of sounding off here on Japan, and she feels like, hey, it's we kind of slowly getting there to the point where the Japanese public will kind of accept people who are not totally Japanese or who are not Japanese at all, as being a part of their society, and contributing to their society. All right, next. Crystal, whose real name is Crystal K. Williams, can count herself as one of those trailblazers. All right. I did not know Crystal's last name was Williams. Crystal Williams, Crystal K. Williams. All right. That is a very common name for African American. Well, the last name is common for African American people. Right. She was born in Yokosuka, Kanagawa Prefecture, to an African American father and a Korean mother. Like Miyamoto, Crystal says she was bullied as a child and has more recently suffered her share of online abuse because of her nationality and skin color. So yeah, that's a shame that Crystal K has to go through that, and people like Crystal K have to go through that. But unfortunately, I guess it just speaks to the society that she lives in. But yeah, I'm sad to hear that. However, in a interview that was done in English with Crystal K, someone had asked her about that, and she had kind of said like, she didn't really experience any type of issues growing up, being of mixed race origin, being biracial, but perhaps she just didn't want to get into it at that point. It's probably perhaps not the easiest subject to talk about. And plus, sometimes people may think that she's trying to play victim, like, hey, she's playing the race card. But really, she's just playing the cards that she's been dealt. And that's the thing. All right, next. But rather than getting upset about it, she chooses to stay positive. So Crystal K stays positive about this instead of getting upset and downtrodden by it. Japan still has a problem with racism, but she believes things are slowly starting to improve. Quote unquote, after I became famous, there were a lot of comments about me being Korean and black. I felt like a double minority. So yeah, Japanese people, they don't like. That's a bit of a blanket statement, but you know, if you're not Japanese in Japan, that's probably like a strike against you. And Crystal K is not Japanese at all. Just as far as biologically, she's not, but culturally she is. She was born and raised in Japan. She speaks Japanese. She probably eats Japanese food. The whole nine. She's Japanese definitely culturally speaking. But yeah, she felt like a double minority because she was Korean, and like Japanese people have an issue with Korean people. Generally speaking, not every single Japanese person has that issue, but I'm saying generally speaking, um, there's some animosity between the two groups. And I even heard it was a while ago, but my teacher, who's Caucasian, who's married to a Korean woman, he said that she doesn't like to do stopovers in Japan because of the racism there, you know. And I'm like, wow, and that's tough, And I also have heard about Boa, and she kind of sounded off on things how like journalists and people used to treat her before she became like really popular. And I think it probably has something to do with the fact that she was Korean. And then, Crystal K is also black, and there is some, stigma on that too because of like the media and the portrayal of black people in the media. So yeah, she's kind of, like she said, somewhat of a double minority here. And she says that laughingly though, but there's truth in jest. All right, next, quote unquote, I think that prejudice is something that will always be there. Closed-minded people aren't going to disappear. Ain't that the truth? Let's see. However, I think progress has been made over the past few years. So I do agree with Crystal K there, and that closed-minded people are always going to be there. They're always going to be bigoted people, one way or another. It may not be necessarily about race, but it's going to be about maybe age, gender, religion, sexual orientation, etc. Right. Next article. Well, next article. Next paragraph. Crystal was one of the first mixed-race celebrities to make a major impression in Japanese entertainment. She made her debut in 1999 at the age of 13 with the track Eternal Memories, before her career took off with the release of her third album, Almost 17. So, let's see. So I don't know that much about Crystal K, but I do know of Crystal K. I just don't know so much her discography, but I definitely know of her just for the simple fact that she is basically kind of like part of the diversity in Japan, and it's not a lot of the racial diversity in Japan. So because of that, she kind of stands out. But yeah, I didn't know she debuted at the age of 13 though. Yeah. All right. Let's see. Next, she fell off the radar somewhat in the past few years, but fans were delighted when the 29-year-old released a single this month titled Kimi ga Ita Kara, which translates to Because You Were There, the theme tune for the popular Sunday night drama Wild Horses, which stars Takahiro Tasaki from the group Exile. All right, so we got a singer crossing over to the acting industry. All right. All right, next, here we go. Quote unquote, it's a great melody with meaningful lyrics written by Carlos K. and a hook that sounds more climatic each time you hear it, she says of the ballad. So Crystal K, she repping for her ballad, caping for her ballad. That's what you're supposed to do. I kind of expected her to have written the ballad, but it's cool. Is Crystal K like the singer-songwriter type? I don't know. Let's see, quote unquote, when I was younger, I wasn't really interested in doing songs like this because I always wanted to dance while I sang. So she wanted to be like, the performing artist, not so much to sing a song, sing a ballad, ooh, but she wanted to be more like, boom, boom, doom, 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 you gonna like it, more of dancing. All right, let's see, next. And I didn't think I had the life experience to justify making powerful ballads. Okay, so at least she is cognizant, at least she is aware that, having life experience kind of gives you some credibility to do this, to do that type of music, you know. Let's see. Next, now that I'm much older, I think it makes more sense. I just hope many people like it. I think Crystal K will do well with ballads. I think she has a nice voice, a powerful, very respectable singing voice to do ballads. So I think people will be interested to hear Ballad by Crystal K. All right. Next, early indications suggest they do. Reviews have been largely positive, and the track peaked at #1 on the daily Chaku Uta chart, which measures cell phone downloads. As for the Oricon chart, the one that really matters, according to Crystal K, and she know what's up. Kimi ga Ita Kara entered at number 27 in its first week, a satisfactory position for the singer, but still nowhere near the level she was at 10 years ago when songs like Koi no Ochitara translates to If I Fall in Love, and 2 as 1 narrowly missed out on the top spot. So back in the day she was in the top 10, but right now she's kind of like in more like the top 30, But, the music industry is a lot tougher now, especially at this moment in Japan because groups are, the thing, groups are in, solo artists are out, and some solo artists have been able to hang on in that industry and maintain respectable record sales, but a lot of solo artists, even like super popular solo artists, have been struggling to sell records because groups are in. Like for some reason, the Japanese public really wants, their singers and musicians in groups instead of solo artists. Strange. Let's see. Next, Crystal believes the increasing dominance of pop idols in Japan has made it more difficult for artists like her to appeal to the masses, but still believes that she has what it takes to make it back to the top. She plans to work her butt off over the next few months, that's a quote unquote, focusing mainly on the domestic market. So basically, Crystal K gonna keep it in Japan and just concentrate on Japan and, just keep putting in work. And Crystal K has put in work, but I think she needs to work smarter, not harder. And I think she will be she might get some shine coming up soon because she does have a collaboration with Namie Amuro in the works. And Namie Amuro is one of those people, one of those solo artists who have been able to, withstand the tide, the changing tide of the music industry in Japan because it's about musical groups, but Namie is still able to kind of have some popularity and sell her singles and records. And the Japanese public has, she's been known to them for 1992. She debuted as part of the Super Monkeys. So I think that association might be able to help Crystal out, and she may possibly get to a number one spot or at least top 10. With her upcoming single with Namie Amuro on the track called Revolution. All right, let's see. Next, that doesn't mean she has given up on her American dream. In March 2013, Crystal K moved to New York, hoping to build some momentum in the States and get her music out there. Things didn't turn out quite as she wanted, but she managed to plant some seeds, meeting producers, playing her first US concert, and releasing songs digitally. She also learned a lot about herself. Okay, so I didn't even know Crystal K really debuted in the United States. But then again, I don't ever really hear about pop stars, Asian pop stars, pop stars from Asia debuting in the United States. You don't really hear about that unless you checking for the artists themselves. Like if you checking for Crystal K, then you might hear about the news, you know. But if you ain't checking for Crystal K, then for some reason it seems like the United States just kind of ignores foreign artists, and especially foreign artists from Asia. And I don't know why. I think that's an issue. But I guess it's just because the United States has like there's so many different options here, and I think because of that, it's like, okay, we have so many options within the United States to choose from. Why go outside of the United States to choose it? But for me personally, I kind of went outside of the United States as far as like listening to Asian music or Asian pop music or Japanese pop music in particular, just because I wanted something different. I wanted to, and it is different. Similarities, but there's some differences. Some things that American artists won't even try or can't even try because of the market that I see other Japanese artists, trying and doing. And for me, I'm just like, okay, it seems like Japan seems to kind of allow room for creativity more so than the United States, So I guess that's one of the reasons why I crossed over to the Japanese music market, as far as like listening to more Asian pop music in general, but specifically Japanese pop music. But I still listen to both. I kind of like to keep tabs on American pop music, just to stay current, and keep up with the times. But another story for another day. Let me get back to business here. All right. So I didn't know that Crystal K even tried to debut in the United States here. I didn't hear about it. I know English is not a issue. She speaks perfect English as far as I know, as far as I've heard. So I guess marketing, but I kind of feel like Crystal K would have more so of an advantage versus like, say, an Asian pop star. Like the thing is, like Crystal K could probably just pass as like, quote unquote, an exotic black woman. And I think that the United States is more open to black entertainers than Asian entertainers. So I think she kind of would have more of a chance to be successful in the United States. And really, the only music market that's bigger than the Japanese music market is the United States. So she would be taking a step up. And I think that she could do this with some proper marketing, and some proper promotion, and some, some good collaborations too. Get her collaborating with like Drake, maybe Nicki Minaj, and I think she could kind of pull it off. And she would be seen as exotic. It kind of gets people interested. Like, oh wow, you grew up in Japan? You speak Japanese? Oh wow, they're conversation starters. Those are things that people ask about in interviews. And how was your experience growing up in Japan? And she's coming from a whole different culture too. So yeah. All right. Next, quote unquote, I became aware of how Japanese I am in the sense that I'm not pushy enough, she says. So I'm guessing that's like a thing in Japan, not to be, I guess, so pushy, for lack of a better word. Quote unquote, I've grown up in a bubble where people don't like to stand out. Over there, it's the opposite. You need a kind of hustling. Let's see. Over there, it's the opposite. You need kind of a hustling mentality, and I found that really difficult. So here she's saying, you know, she grew up in a bubble, in Japan where people is kind of somewhat maybe like stigmatized to stand out. In the United States, it's the opposite. You want to stand out. And yeah, there's a lot of people in the United States, so you got to stand out. And you do need a hustling mentality. And she found that difficult. I guess she's not used to, doing the hustling part of it. The networking part of it. I can relate to that. It is kind of tough if you don't really know how to go about it. But that's why you kind of need to have some good people in your corner to help you out with that. But how do you get those people? Let's see. Perhaps it looked as though I was being snobbish, but I genuinely didn't know how to promote or express myself. I even took anxiety classes. Wow, so this being in the United States gave Crystal K anxiety because of the cultural difference, as well the pressure put on her career, trying to make it here. Wow. I wonder what she learned about in the anxiety class exactly. Let's see. Next. It's surprising to hear Crystal felt she lacked assertiveness as she seems quite self-assured in person. She says it grew over time, though, and recalls one performance, a show at a small venue in New York called Eastwood that gave her self-confidence a particular hefty boost. It sold out quickly, and she was asked back the following night. Okay. So, looks like, she got a couple of folks checking for her in New York, and that's pretty cool, for an artist that's pretty much unknown to the American music market. Yeah. Quote unquote, it was just me and an acoustic guitarist, Crystal says. I felt naked being up there on stage singing live in New York for the first time. To see such a packed crowd was an amazing feeling. It made me realize I could do it and should give myself more credit. All right. So, Crystal K was at the bare bones here, just her and acoustic guitarist, and they just, singing her songs. So, at least she proven that she does have like, talent. She does have vocal talent, and people will be like, okay, maybe perhaps we can give her a chance, because she's not like totally just, a studio singer. They just doing different effects on her voice. She can really sing. Let's see. Next, another highlight for Crystal during her time in the United States was this year's Grammy Awards, having featured on the opening track of Sly and Robbie and Spicy Chocolate's Reggae Power record, which was nominated in the Best Reggae Album section. She got to walk the red carpet, a dream she had since childhood. Like, where was I when Crystal K walked the red carpet? I guess there wasn't really. Are there any photos of this? That's pretty cool. Let's see. Quote unquote, I'm making baby steps, she says. Quote unquote. Hopefully one day I'll be nominated for my own album. That's a long-term goal. For now, I just want to sing to as many people as possible. It's all I've ever wanted to do. And that's the end of the article. So Crystal K just wants to sing to as many people as possible. So I really encourage Crystal K to keep going. I hope she has great success. Another tip I would give Crystal K is possibly, maybe, this might be a bit, a bit of a Kardashian move here, but maybe, try and date like a popular American celebrity, perhaps. So some people will start checking for you. But it can be an organic relationship. It doesn't have to be strictly for publicity. But hey, just happen to want to date a celebrity. Drake, perhaps. Even though he's probably with somebody, but still, some other type of rapper dude, R&B singer, football star, basketball star, athlete of some sort. Again, possibly a bit of a lowbrow move, but give it a try. Give it a try. As well, maybe do collaborations with American artists. You know, I think some American artists might be interested in you. Because ultimately, I think that the cosign is going to be what helps Crystal K get into the market. Not so much her talent. I mean, Crystal K has talent. Don't get me wrong, but it's just so many people here who have talent that it's like, okay, what else next? All right, we can get talent here too. um, collaborating with popular music producers as well too. So yeah, I thought this was a pretty interesting article here. Pretty interesting. I learned a lot about Crystal K in this article. It's pretty cool. So I guess I'll be checking for Crystal K a bit more often now than I used to check for Crystal K. Um, but for now, I think I've said all I have to say. So thanks a lot for watching, you guys. Feel free to comment. Feel free to subscribe. Feel free to give me a thumbs up. Your feedback and support are extremely appreciated and extremely valued. Until the next news article analysis, adios and goodbye for now.